When my son's fiancée demanded that I buy her a house before their wedding, I knew something was terribly wrong. She stood there, eyes filled with entitlement, acting as if I owed her the world just because she was marrying my son. I tried to stay calm, but what she didn't know was that I already knew her secret, a secret that would destroy her little fairy tale image in seconds. Tell me honestly, was I wrong for exposing the truth and ruining their engagement, or was it something she brought upon herself? It all started about a year ago when my son, Daniel, introduced us to his new girlfriend, Amanda. She seemed perfect, beautiful, well-spoken, confident, the kind of woman every parent would want their child to bring home. My wife adored her instantly, but there was something about Amanda that didn't sit right with me. Maybe it was the way she talked, like everything she said was rehearsed. Or maybe it was how she'd always redirect every conversation back to herself. Still, I didn't want to be the overprotective dad who couldn't accept his son's choices, so I kept my thoughts to myself. Over the next few months, Amanda became a regular part of our lives. She'd come over for dinners, family events, even holidays. She was always polite, always smiling, but behind that smile, I could sense calculation. It's like she was studying us, especially Daniel. My son had always been kind-hearted, but naive when it came to love. After losing his mother to cancer when he was just a teenager, he grew up emotionally vulnerable, always seeking approval and affection. Amanda knew that. She read him like a book. She made him feel adored, special, and in return, he gave her everything she wanted: expensive gifts, fancy dinners, trips she barely contributed to. I watched quietly, biting my tongue, hoping she truly loved him. But deep down, I knew she was playing him. Things escalated 6 months into their relationship. One night during dinner, Daniel announced that he was proposing to Amanda. My wife nearly cried with joy, but I felt my stomach drop. He said he wanted to surprise her with a ring worth nearly $15,000. I tried to warn him, told him that love wasn't measured by money, but he brushed me off. "Dad, she's the one," he said. "She deserves the best." I sighed and congratulated him, but something inside me whispered that this was the beginning of a storm. After the engagement, Amanda's true colors began to show. She became more controlling, more demanding, especially when it came to money. She'd complain that Daniel didn't make enough, even though he was already working overtime at his job as a software engineer. She started suggesting that maybe I could help out since, in her words, we were going to be family soon. I found that odd family isn't supposed to come with price tags. The first time she asked me for money, it was subtle. She mentioned wanting to plan a luxury engagement party and hinted that I could sponsor it as a gift to the couple. I politely declined, saying I'd already spent on their engagement dinner. The smile she gave me after that, it wasn't disappointment. It was the cold kind of look someone gives when their manipulation fails. That's when I started paying attention more closely. I began asking around quietly, friends, mutual acquaintances, even looking up her social media, and what I found shocked me. Amanda had been engaged before to another man 2 years prior, and the story ended badly. She had drained the poor guy financially and then left him right before their wedding. Rumor had it she was after money, not love. I kept this information to myself for a while because I didn't have proof, just stories. But soon, Amanda herself gave me all the proof I needed. A few weeks later, Daniel invited us to dinner at their apartment. Amanda had prepared a fancy meal, but I could tell she wasn't just being hospitable. There was a purpose. After dinner, she cleared her throat and said, "So, I've been thinking Daniel and I need a place of our own before the wedding, somewhere big enough for the life we're building." I smiled politely and said that made sense. Then she added, "And we were hoping you could help us buy a house." I blinked, thinking I misheard. You mean help as in advice or help as in money? I asked. She didn't even hesitate. Financially, of course, she said with a fake giggle. You have such a beautiful home, Mr. Richardson. It's only fair that Daniel and I start our lives in something similar, maybe a little smaller. I was speechless. The audacity of this woman, asking me to buy her a house, as if I was her personal ATM. I looked at Daniel, expecting him to stop her, but to my disappointment, he stayed quiet, staring down at his plate. That's when I realized she already had him completely under her spell. I didn't argue. I simply told her I'd think about it and went home. But that night I couldn't sleep. I was angry not just at her, but at myself for allowing it to go this far. That's when I decided to dig deeper. I reached out to a private investigator I knew from work and asked him to look into Amanda's background. A week later, he handed me a file that made my blood boil. Not only had Amanda been engaged before, she'd been engaged twice. Both relationships ended with her taking large sums of money from the men involved. And the kicker, she still had contact with one of them. My investigator showed me screenshots of messages where she was bragging about how easy Daniel was to manipulate. She even wrote, "His dad's the real jackpot. Once I marry Daniel, I'll make sure we get that inheritance early." That was the moment I decided enough was enough. I had to protect my son, even if it meant breaking his heart. Before I tell you what I did next, I want you to pause for a second and think. If your child was about to marry someone who was clearly using them, would you step in and expose the truth, even if it meant losing their trust, or would you stay silent and hope they figured it out on their own? Tell me in the comments what you'd have done if you were in my shoes. A few days later, Amanda called to follow up about the house. She was as bold as ever. "So, have you thought about it?" she asked, pretending to sound sweet. I told her I had, and that I wanted to discuss it face to face. I invited her and Daniel over for dinner that weekend. She showed up in a designer dress, all smiles, completely unaware that I was about to shatter her perfect little scheme. After dinner, I brought out the file the investigator had given me and placed it on the table. Amanda frowned. "What's that?" she asked. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "That's your past, Amanda. Every lie, every scam, every broken engagement you've ever had." The color drained from her face. Daniel looked confused. "Dad, what are you talking about?" he asked. I slid the documents toward him, the screenshots, the pictures, the bank statements. Everything. He started reading them one by one, his hands trembling. Amanda tried to grab them, but I stopped her. "No," I said firmly. "He deserves to see who he's really marrying." Amanda started panicking. "Those aren't real. He's lying, Daniel. He's just jealous that you love me more than him," she shouted. But Daniel was no longer listening. He was reading the part where she called him easy money. I could see his heart breaking right in front of me. He stood up slowly, tears filling his eyes. "Is this true?" he whispered. Amanda stammered, tried to twist the story, but it was over. Daniel took off the engagement ring and placed it on the table. "Get out," he said quietly. "Get out of my life." Amanda screamed, cried, tried to play the victim, but my son didn't budge. She left that night, slamming the door behind her, and we never saw her again. Daniel didn't speak to me for a few days. He was angry, not because I exposed her, but because I hadn't told him sooner. Eventually, he came around. He thanked me for saving him from a lifetime of misery. It took months, but he started healing. He even began dating again this time, someone genuine and kind. As for Amanda, word got around. Apparently, she moved to another city, probably looking for her next victim. But she'll never forget the night her perfect plan fell apart. I don't regret what I did. A parent's job isn't to make their child happy all the time. It's to protect them. even if it means being the villain for a while. Looking back, I often think about that night. What if I had stayed silent? Daniel might have married her, given her everything, and ended up broken. Sometimes love makes us blind, and people like Amanda know exactly how to take advantage of that. But the truth always finds a way out, and when it does, it burns everything built on lies. So, was I wrong to expose her? Maybe to some, it seems harsh, but to me, it was necessary. I'd rather my son cry for a few weeks than spend years regretting a mistake that could have destroyed his life. Love should lift you up, not drain you dry. And sometimes, the hardest thing a parent can do is be the one to pull the curtain back and show their child what's really hiding behind that smile. If you were on my side, give this video a like. Subscribe for more real life stories like this one, and share your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done if your child's partner demanded something like that? Thanks for listening to my story. I'll see you all in the next one.